So last night, man, the Sixers dropped to 20-36 after another disgusting, atrocious, pathetic performance against the Brooklyn Nets. Going into this game, the team's records were tied. At the very least, the wins were tied. I'm not sure about the losses, but the Sixers and the Nets both had 20 wins going into the season. Except the Nets do not have three superstars, do not have three max contract players. They don't even have one max contract player. They sold their entire franchise trying to tank. They have nobody on the roster. They even bought out Ben Simmons. They literally have nobody. The Sixers were playing a ghost squad last night. They have nobody. And they still lost. I know it's kind of ironic after just ranting for a minute about how embarrassing that loss was, but, I'm just running out of words to describe how disappointing and embarrassing and disgraceful this team is to Philadelphia. It's truly ridiculous. And a big part of the reason why the record is so bad is because of injuries. Embiid, I don't know why he's playing. I truly don't. He's been hurt since before the season started. Now, everybody knows the injury he had last year, the torn MCL or meniscus. I forget which one. But, it lingered on into the playoffs. He was clearly still hurt. Had to get a cleanup procedure in the off season. And literally the day before the regular season started for the Sixers, Embiid was ruled out of the game. Ruled out of the regular season opener the day before. Not only was he ruled out of the regular season opener, he got ruled out for that entire week. And, the season was just doomed before it even started. There was so much buzz, so much energy, so much excitement around the Sixers. You could feel it in Philadelphia. And then that report came out, Shams reported that, and it all went away. We all knew that this is how the season was going to play out, because this is the Sixers. They started out 2-12 because there was a whole bunch of injuries to the big three. Embiid was missing time. Paul George was missing time. They started out 2-12, and I think the big three has only played 15 games together. But that's not even an excuse at this point, because the big three is 7-8 when they play. They're 7-8. I'm running out of words. They are such an embarrassing disgrace to the city of Philadelphia. At this point, I truly do. I feel bad for Embiid, because it's funny. Right before I hit the record button for this video, Shams tweeted something. The Sixers and Embiid are discussing treatment options. They're talking to doctors, talking to the medical staff. They're discussing treatment options. The key words in that tweet were, for his injured knee. The discussion, the narrative around Embiid's knee coming from the Sixers front office all season long has been that Embiid is not injured. He didn't suffer any setbacks in the offseason, and this is all a part of their plan. Because in the offseason, like a month or two before the season started, Shams was tweeting about how the Sixers have a treatment plan for Embiid. He's going to rest back-to-backs and, be on minutes restrictions, things like that. And so that went right out of the window as soon as the season started, because the record was just so bad. But still, the discussion, the narrative out of the front office is that he's not injured. So why did Shams just say they are discussing treatment options for his injured knee? A week or two ago, I think, Embiid was talking to the media, and he was talking about how he thinks that he's going to need another surgery. And still, the front office, the coaching staff, there's just been no indication that he's been injured. We've known it all season long, because you could just watch him on the floor. He's not himself. He's not giving any effort on defense. He's not running back. He's injured, and they are putting him out there, risking his long-term health, because they're trying to pretend, they're lying to the fan base, lying to themselves that they actually have a chance to compete. They don't. They don't have a chance to compete, man. It's over. And so I just don't know why Embiid is still playing. He needs to be shut down. Like I said, the Big Three has only played 15 games together. They are 7-8. This version of Joel Embiid isn't even good enough to win with the other two co-stars. Why is he still on the floor? Why is this organization dead set on pretending and lying to this fan base that this team is a contender? They're not a contender. Shut Embiid down. Tank. It's over. The same thing needs to happen with Paul George. I don't want to make any excuses for this guy because, surprisingly, Paul George was one of my favorite players. Paul George was in my top 5 favorite players before this season. I absolutely despise Paul George now. I hate him. I don't even want to make this excuse, but whatever. He's had, nagging injuries all throughout the season. His latest was a ligament torn in his ring finger or something that kept him out for like 3 games. How does that keep you out for 3 games? I don't know, but it happened to Paul George. And so, this is literally just the season from hell. Nothing can go right. Anything that you possibly think can go wrong for this team has gone wrong. Anything you think will go wrong does go wrong. It's insane. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. It's unfathomable. This season is unfathomable. And I mean, I called this 4 years ago. 4 years ago in 2021, the Sixers lost to the Hawks in the second round. Lost in Game 7. They blew multiple 20-point leads in the series. Lost in Game 7. And, I told my dad, I told my friends, I told anybody that would listen, trade Joel Embiid. Trade him. Now, that series, that series loss, that wasn't on him at all. That was Ben Simmons' infamous, pass out of a dunk. That was that series. That series wasn't Embiid at all, but the writing was just on the wall, man. That was the 5th or 6th playoff run that the team had, or not the 5th or 6th playoff run. Embiid's 5th or 6th season, the 3rd or 4th playoff run that they had together. And they blew multiple 20-point leads and lost to the Hawks. I'm like, just trade Embiid. If you can't beat the Hawks, who can you beat? How are you ever going to get to the conference finals if you can't even beat the Hawks? And it's funny because the very next round, the Hawks played the Bucks, and they did exactly what we couldn't do. Giannis missed a couple games, and Chris Middleton put them on their back, or he put the Bucks on his back and got to the finals. It was just evident to me that the Sixers would never win with Joel Embiid. I thought Embiid was good enough to win if he got into the right situation, like Golden State, where, a couple years ago when Steph was a little bit younger, they could play off each other's gravity. Can't double Steph, can't double Embiid. I mean, that would have just been a match made in heaven, basketball-wise. So, that was just my whole thing. You're not going to win with Joel Embiid. He's good enough to win. It's not going to happen in Philly. And what did we do? We just kept lying to ourselves, saying, oh, yeah, that we're good enough. We can win. We just got to fire Doc Rivers. Okay, they fired Doc Rivers, brought in Nick Nurse. Now what? We're still not winning. I mean, there are no other options left to exhaust except for blowing it up. We fired Brett Brown. We fired Doc Rivers. We're about to fire Nick Nurse. What can we do? There are nothing else. We've tried co-star after co-star after co-star after co-star. First, it was Ben Simmons. They drafted Maxey. They were running mates for half a season. We traded for Harden. We tried that. Didn't work. Now we're on Paul George. This isn't working. What's next? What's next? There's no other options to exhaust. And I'm not saying that, I'm not calling Joel Embiid a loser because he's my guy. He's been the franchise for forever, but it's just not going to happen. The common denominator is Joel Embiid. We've changed GMs. We've changed co-stars. We've changed coaches. We've changed medical staffs. We've changed strength staffs. We've changed everything except Joel Embiid. Stop the insanity. It's over. Blow it up. It's over. And the thing that's even more frustrating is the sentiment that's echoed from the locker room, talking about the joy that Maxey plays with, the leadership that he exudes. They might not mention Joel Embiid's name, but there's subtle shots at Joel Embiid. Those are subtle shots at Embiid saying he doesn't come into the gym happy. He doesn't look like he wants to be here. Trade Joel Embiid. Shut him down. Trade him in the offseason and rebuild. This is so many years overdue. We need to rebuild. I think the best part about rebuilding is the fact that you're not going to have to go through a 4 or 5 year rebuild process like the Pistons or the Cavs or the Kings or the Bulls or any of these teams. You have Maxey, who's an all-star. I forget if he made an all-NBA second team or not, but all-star. You have Jared McCain. You have Gershon Yabusele. I don't know if he's going to re-sign, given how dysfunctional the organization's been. But you have a foundation. You have picks. You have a foundation. And then you just add what you'll get from Embiid and Paul George. You've got a competitive roster. If you don't make the playoffs in the first year, you'll damn sure make the playoffs in the second year. I just can't understand why we keep trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, just trying to lie to ourselves and trick ourselves into thinking that this team is a contender. They're not. They just have a loser's mentality, man. They just have a loser's mentality, and that's truly what's wrong with the Sixers team. They have a loser's mentality. They get punched in the mouth, and they just give up. We saw this same exact thing in the playoffs last year against the Knicks. That series, I remember, there was a stat that came out right after the series. I forget if this is the exact stat now, but I believe that was the closest ever. That series was the closest series in NBA history. The point differential, the Knicks won the series 4-2. They won in 6 games, and I'm pretty sure the point differential was 1 or 2. The series was that close. You know why the Sixers lost? Effort. You know why the Sixers lost? Rebounding. You know why the Sixers lost? Intensity. The intangibles. They have all the talent in the world. They have no intangibles. They have no heart. They have no hustle. They have no will to win. They have no passion. They have no pride. It's just embarrassing to watch. And it just makes it even worse because we just saw the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Did the Eagles win the Eagles had talent. The Eagles won the Super Bowl because of grit and their mentality. They went to the Super Bowl with the mentality of, I don't give a damn if the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. We're the Eagles and you can't beat us. The Sixers have the complete opposite mentality, man. They go in there every single night. They pray to God that they don't lose, and they find different ways. They find new ways to lose. It's just the contrast in mentalities, man. The team has a loser's mentality, and it all starts with Joel Embiid. I know I said I wouldn't call him a loser, but he's a loser, man. He has a loser's mentality. He goes out there, if the game doesn't go his way, he starts moping. He starts walking up and down the court instead of giving effort. He doesn't try on defense. He doesn't get back on defense. It's atrocious, man. I'm tired of watching it. We have so many young guys sitting on the bench dying for their opportunity, and you got guys like Joel Embiid and Paul George taking advantage of it, taking it for granted. And Paul George is the worst with these podcast clips, man. It's been, I don't even know how many months he's been in Philly at this point, 6, 7, 8 months. He doesn't understand the city at all, dude. We are 20-36. This is the most disappointing season in Philly sports history. And you keep posting this podcast. Nobody gives a damn about this podcast, dude. This team is atrocious, man. This team is a disgrace to Philly, man. Just blow it up already.